an outside tap to collect water for household use. It's been a daily reality for Kroonstad residents for the past several years. This resident of Brent Park in Kroonstad says the water supply to her home is unreliable. Melissa Malinga says this on-again, off-again situation has now become the norm.
We've been having some issues with our water in our community, Brent Park and Maokeng at large. Sometimes we have days where we run out of water, and we've grown to that where we know where if we see a burst pipe or whatever, we decide to just start filling up, because we know it might take a day or two and you have to fill up for your toilet, maybe doing your dishes and just some basic stuff, taking a bath and so on. Yeah.
And when you do have water, what's the quality of the water like?
It's not good. It's not good. Honestly, I wouldn't recommend someone to drink the water, but knowing situations in our community and how we live, and a lot of us are struggling, it's not easy for everyone to just buy water. So I've seen most people buy water actually to drink, because some people complain about their stomachs and so on if they drink the water, but it's not everybody that can afford to buy water every time to drink, to cook, or for any basic needs.
Several kilometers away in Relebohile township, residents tell of how the Kroonstad water crisis also impacts on their personal hygiene and livelihoods.
No jana laka wa jana to nye ha finya mo o bula pompa mezi o ba tshele mezi mo o shela mezi a jwanga o sana pe o ko ngena go nya to gona a jwang phasman a tlisa mo
ka wa shimona o bothata ba mezi ba affecta holo, cause sometimes re provide services to the client tsa rona be long ke batho ba di koloi ba di private cars, ba using private cars, ba ke ba di taxi drivers. So ha metsi a le sio re na le bothata bo holo, cause ha o kgone ho etsa just a normal minimum meet chelet finance.
Several kilometers away, a high-level government delegation inspects the source of the area's woes, a rundown multi-million rand water and sewage treatment facility. It was launched by former Water Affairs Minister Nomvula Mokonyane in 2015, with the promise that the facility would end once and for all Kroonstad's water woes. But an unannounced on-site inspection tells a different story. A 10 million rand bill is at the heart of the water issues here. But the funds have been idling in municipal coffers for months, if not years.
Where's the technical director?
He's here.
What's happening? Why things are like this?
This is the overflow of the incoming sewer.
No, I'm saying why. You can see all your ponds are full.
Yes, yeah.
And all, no. We're asking why the ponds are full and they are actually not being taken care of, and where are they flowing to?
As I said, this is the overflow because this plant is totally not functional at all. Nothing is functioning in this plant. So all the sewer that is coming here is not going anywhere to be treated, so it overflows here and onto the river.
Every port in Kroonstad has been waiting for 10 million.
Correct.
Really?
We just did a quick quotation last week. This week, we finalized the quotations yesterday, so they are all around 10 million.
It's not possible that the municipality doesn't have 10 million.
I think we can make a plan.
I mean, they must just prioritize out of their equitable share.
Yes.
Because this thing is very serious. They must just do something about it.
Municipal officials have confirmed that they are waiting for quotations from service providers in order to release the funds to address the crisis. For Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405, I'm Tumaole Mohlaoli in Kroonstad, Free State Province.
For more on this story, I'm joined now by senior reporter Tumaole Mohlaoli. Tumaole, I cannot help but be angry honestly, I cannot help but be angry about this story. 10 million rand stands between a community and access to clean drinking water. 2015, they're launching this plant, which is supposed to be a water treatment plant. Fast forward 2021, it's lying in ruins. How did nobody see what's going on here?
And this is where the tough questions really didn't get proper answers, Bongiwe. Officials were really caught off guard, some saying that it was more of a budgetary constraints that, led the plant to fall into disrepair. Others are saying that, of course, with the current rain situation, which is, rains have been very, very, sparse in the area over the last couple of months, even going back as far as last year, saying that this has caused the levels of the fluid in this particular plant to be lower than what is required for it to work properly. But this didn't hold down well because officials, when pushed, also admitted that some of the pumps that were meant to pump water from nearby reservoirs and even from the streams surrounding that particular facility, because it's got that capacity, were just in disrepair, and the money was not used properly, or parts that were supposed to be replaced weren't replaced. When further questions were asked, no one seemed to have the answer. In fact, the effluent now is now starting to flow over into the neighboring stream, into the neighboring water stream, and with water not being cleansed properly through that particular facility, residents further downstream in areas like Brent Park and other communities are getting water which is raw effluent into their drinking water. They are forced now to buy water to drink and to cook with, which is a problem. And also they're saying that bathing and washing their clothes with this water is becoming a hazard to their health. And you can just imagine, Bongiwe, having to buy water. And some of these residents are saying they're still reeling from the effects of COVID-19 hard lockdown. Many of them had been laid off from their jobs because businesses were just shutting down. It is a crisis of note.
Where is this 10 million rand?
The 10 million rand, according to what we were told on the site, is sitting in the council's coffers. And it just wasn't accounted for or wasn't budgeted for to be diverted. Now, why 10 million rand is sitting in the coffers and not, dealing with what is essentially an emergency when it comes to water and residents needing access to clean water, no clear answers were given. However, this money has been sitting there for a while, which is what we are told by the council. And the mayor was even saying that he had just come in and he was going through a process of auditing the books to see what resources were there, because he was under the impression that the council is bankrupt and cannot, pay its bills when it comes to the water situation. Even when you are in the local municipality there, Bongiwe, there were water tankers around. Some of the buildings, including, banks and other buildings, had water tankers that were connected to their particular facilities to get water in. They have outside toilets, because the water situation is so dire they can't flush. So you can imagine what is going on with the residents. The residents are saying that what is happening is that through not managing their water processing system, effluent starts to bubble out of their lavatories and floods their homes.
I wonder then, Tumaole, because I'm listening to you talk about these water tankers, and it reminds me of the Northwest. In one of the townships there, the municipality is providing water through water tankers as well. And some of the community leaders were saying that they don't understand how this is happening, because this might be a way of diverting funds towards this. And, they were even making claims that potentially some of those that are benefiting may not want this to be treated. Now, looking at another province that is having to find itself with water tankers, what are the residents saying about this? Are they also seeing this potentially as a red flag? Because if there's money for water tankers, surely there should be money to fix this reservoir.
Absolutely, Bongiwe, and residents are very forthright. They're saying that the issue of water tankers and water being bussed in essentially to help them deal with this issue, particularly there in Kroonstad, they are crying foul, saying that those who are providing the water tankers and these systems to try and help them alleviate the water crisis actually are those who are linked either to those within council, politically connected, or they are linked to businesses that are linked to those particular people in the council who are supposed to be the ones, making sure that the services are doled out to the people. So it seems as if there's allegations there that people are referee and player in the same game and benefiting from a crisis that should have been solved by the council itself.
How is no one fired?
That is the question, and this is what national government is saying. It's saying that they want a full report on how things got so far and why it has taken so long when there are budgets in place that should have been allocated as of last week, as of yesterday, to ensure that residents are given the services they deserve and that they require. Now, what has been decided is that there is going to be a full report that is going to be issued out to both the Premier's office as well as to the provincial water and sanitation department to try and get a sense of where it all went wrong, how far this has been happening, and what is the way forward.
I'm very... I think when one reads this and listens to what you're saying about officials, I'm finding it very hard to believe that they didn't even know and they want a report. Because, Tumaole, a quick search of Kroonstad, it tells you about this statement that comes from the Water and Sanitation Department that says it found no threat to the water in Kroonstad, and talking about how they can see creatures in translucent worm-like creatures that are swimming in the water. And this is a video that was doing the rounds by a local there. And they're saying that they have taken samples, there's nothing wrong and all of that. And even going as far as saying that, there's a Gerard Janse van Noordwijk who heads up the drinking water and wastewater management section in this department, said it would be impossible for lava to go through the water system. The pressure that the water is traveling through the pipes would shed this, and they would also not be able to survive chemicals that are used to clean water. So now they've got a statement out that they took out last year on the 27th of January in 2020. And yet they don't even seem to understand that it is important to ensure that infrastructure is maintained, because we've been seeing a number of projects where infrastructure maintenance is the problem. So how is it that officials are saying they didn't know about this when even as early as 27th of January you're made aware, you investigate? How are you not keeping this top of your radar?
Absolutely, Bungiwe, and that again speaks to the issue of the outsourcing of services. When you look at the report, that report was outsourced, and it really begs the question, because the municipality has an in-house division in itself that is meant to oversee the water reticulation, the water management. In fact, when this particular water reticulation plant was launched circa 2015, I think Nomvula Mukunyane was Water Affairs Minister at the time, it was too much fanfare because this has been an ongoing problem in Kroonstad. And this particular facility was to make sure that the effluent that comes from, when residents flush their toilet, then is removed and is processed so that clean water is put back into the system. This was supposed to be done, and there was a management team that was put in place to ensure that there would be even skills transfer so that it would be held and dealt with in-house. Now, the outsourcing of that was because the municipality at the time said that it didn't have capacity, that it had lost a lot of the skilled workers to the private sector. Turns out the skilled workers that went to the private sector are the ones that set up the company that was meant to outsource this particular issue of managing this facility and skills transfer to those who are left inside the municipality. This hasn't been done. Why this hasn't been done, no one can answer at this particular time.
What is the Premier's excuse? Well,
the Premier is saying that at this stage, this is a crisis that is seen across the province. The Premier is saying that areas like Putadichaba, Maluti Apofung, have also been left without any water in some areas for months, even going back as far as several years.
And what is she doing about that, though? Because it's good enough for her to say that these areas are backing.
Yes.
But what is her program of action?
The program of action, according to what she has told us, is that the province is now doing, counting the costs to say what needs to be done so that it can then source the money to try and fast-track these projects. Like, for instance, in Maluta Pofung, there's a large pipeline that's supposed to go from the dam and, feed the municipality, so that the municipality doesn't have to then bus in, water tankers, and people can get water directly from the taps. Why these pipelines weren't serviced is an issue that lays within the graft that is crippling municipalities, because the budgets were there, Bongiwe. The money was issued out, invoices were apparently, approved, but the services were never delivered. And when service providers are asked what happened, they say that basically they were underpaid, and that the scope of the work is so large because the infrastructure is at a level that is so bad that more needs to be done, and therefore they need to be paid more. So it's a case of he says, she says, and the provincial government is sitting with egg in its face at this particular moment, and it's a crisis because, with the local government elections looming, residents are saying, what more do we need to do, because this is a basic human right, water.
And it is a human right. It is in the Constitution. They do have the right to have access to safe, clean drinking water. And the more we hear about reports that are going to be put together, it sounds like the more we hear about task teams that are put in place to try and deal with some of these problems. Thank you so much for that. That's Tumaole Mohlaoli there, who's been watching developments in Kroonstad for us. Certainly an unconvincing argument that we are hearing here, especially when it comes to the people, they're not having access to safe, clean drinking water for years now. This has been something that the community has been battling with. But